Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. Thanks for bearing with me. Kind of had a week where I didn't do a lot of live streams, but this is a live stream for those that want to discuss this Kyle Rittenhouse case and why you might be asking, Mike. You don't normally touch on these things, but sometimes I do. World events, U.S. events, courtroom events. First of all, disclaimer: I'm not a political analyst. I'm just a guy with an opinion. I'm not going to break out all the legal jumbo. Um, I thought I had a strong take on this case until I started watching it. And then I kind of learned more about it. And I think it's a very complex case. I have some questions myself that I can't seem to find the answers to. I've done some research. I've watched a considerable amount of the case, not bell to bell, not hour by hour, not testimony by testimony. By the way, you're welcome to make your comments here and I'll respond to them accordingly. I have watched a good amount of this case, but not, like I said, not every witness, not every moment of it. And I've watched some videos on the Washington Post YouTube channel. They had a couple of good 20, 25-minute videos about this case, what happened that night. Here's my first question that, I still can't figure out the answer to, and I don't know if anyone can. If you can, leave a comment. Did Kyle Rittenhouse have this gun legally or not? And based on his own testimony, he didn't think that he was allowed to purchase a gun at age 17. So he had his friend buy the gun for him with the understanding that when Kyle turned 18, he would get the gun in his possession. So my question would be, does that mean when he's walking around with the gun still at age 17, does he have that gun in his possession illegally? Or I think what Kyle's excuse was trying to be was he didn't think he could buy the gun, but he thought he could have it in his possession legally. I don't know the answer to this. And I know that early in the case, the illegal gun possession charge, whatever the exact wordage was thrown out by the judge for this case, at least. And I'm still curious as to why. And I'm not judging or making a statement that it should have been thrown out, that charge, or not. I just don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I'm curious as to the exact specifications. To me, it would seem that if he couldn't buy the gun legally, I would think that he could also not possess it legally. And does it matter if you bring it over state lines or not? I don't know the answer to these questions. So I'm willing, and to me, that's like the biggest thing. Like that creates a whole, domino effect of the other charges. Now, when I initially heard about this case, I will admit that my assumption, and I don't know if the media, whatever news feed I was hearing at the time, which I think was several, I don't know if I assumed that the people that Rittenhouse shot and killed, whether it was self-defense or murder or manslaughter, whatever, I don't know if I assumed that these people were African-American or if that was conveyed somehow. But yes, the fact that these are two white guys that have died and a third severely injured with his arm basically being, made useless for the rest of his life. Does that affect the case? I don't know if it should, but in a court of public opinion, it seems that it does. And now we see people getting ready to riot or protest. To me, that seems a little disingenuous. Like if you're prepping to protest or prepping to riot, and the decision hasn't even come down yet, to me, you're just compounding the issue, and this could lead to more problems like they had in the situation that we're talking about. So I guess here's another thing, folks. I think that the people that watch my YouTube channel, subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel, typically have a lot to live for. I like to think that all people do. I don't know if any of the people involved in this particular case, either Rittenhouse or the three people that were the victim of gunshots, I don't know if any of them I would go out and protest and riot for. I mean, the guy that survived, and I feel bad for him that his arm is injured and everything. But if you look at his history, it's not particularly stellar. And I do feel that the gentleman, the first guy that got shot and killed, Rosenbaum, that seems like a victim of the system or a victim of his own. He just had a horrible life. The guy was molested as a kid. He turned out to be a sexual predator himself. He could not escape from that vicious cycle. I don't know why this guy, supposedly he had a girlfriend when he died, but he seemed like he was in a lot of trouble mentally, with the law. He had a horrible childhood, and he brought that out upon other people. So you can see that as a sympathetic character or not. But the other thing is here that Rosenbaum, obviously, do you mind? Obviously, being deceased, he can't speak for himself. Rosenbaum can't speak for himself because now he's dead. But it didn't seem like he had his altogether was there. He wasn't altogether there. Other things in this case are very interesting. The judge, I can talk about that in a minute, but also the police in that district. I don't know if it was under the orders of their higher ups or what, but it seemed like the police were just kind of throwing their arms up and letting people do whatever they want. And I got to say that some of this is, people's own human accountability. I mean, people say defund the police, but who do you call when there's an emergency? You call the police. Obviously, the police are not perfect. And obviously, I believe the gentleman's name was Jacob Blake. That case kind of led to this one. But I mean, it was said that Jacob Blake was going for a knife at that time when he was shot. Now, do the amount of bullets that he was shot with are they justified? I don't know. I wasn't there either. I mean, all these things are a mess. But I think that as individual citizens, what can we do? I think we have to stop looking towards Big Brother to help us out all the time, whether it's the police or whether it's society. And this is not some type of rant. I guess it is. But I think you have to look out for yourself and not get so worked up and triggered every time you see something that looks a certain way. Let it marinate for a while and see how it plays out. Although that's difficult to do. And there are reasons why people are angry. There are reasons why people are disgusted and fed up and infuriated with the system, with the police, with everything, with the government. I get it. I totally get it. So it's a bad situation. I guess what I'm just saying to people is try to be selfish in a way, or just survivalist. We're living in such a world that's crazy, and there's so many things that are happening that even if you had the best of intentions to go down to this situation last August and try and protest or speak your mind, obviously we saw what happened, a horrible situation. So for just people that I care about, and I have friends in Providence that were going to these protests, and a guy ended up in jail that I knew because he was going to these protests to document the situation. Well, what good did it do you to document it? You just got arrested for no good reason. I just don't understand it. So, I mean, I do understand it, but I don't. People are upset. They have rights to be upset. At the same time, you get to a certain point in life, like I have, where you realize that everything is screwed up. The machine is broken. And what can you do to enjoy your own life and make a difference in your own life? It's kind of sad and depressing. Like, what I'm advocating for is not necessarily going to lead to a greater future. But in some ways, I feel I've hit the point where the train is so far off the tracks. I'm just looking out for myself to enjoy whatever ride is left. And maybe that sounds cynical. Getting back to this exact case, I'm getting to the point that why was Rittenhouse there? Why did he feel the need to be there? It feels like he and the other, I don't know what you'd call them. They would call themselves patriots. Some might call them militia. Well, why would a 17-year-old kid feel the need to pick up a gun and a homemade medical supply bag? And why would his mother take him down to this situation? And obviously the prosecutor, a lot of people giving the prosecutor slack and a hard time for his efforts as a prosecutor. But one thing that he kept saying was, you lied. Rittenhouse lied several times. So, I mean, he lied about being a medic. He lied about one way or the other about the possession of his gun, so Rittenhouse is not a perfect hero either. In a lot of ways, he's a stupid kid. He's a kid that got in over his head. He might have had the best of intentions in mind, I think he was looking for excitement. I think I can remember being a 17-year-old guy, 10 years ago or so, and you get very arrogant at times because you feel like the world owes you a favor, and you feel like you're the center of the universe, and your testosterone is pumping, and you feel like you've got to figure it all out. And I mean, not to pick on his mom because his mom's going through a lot, but I do feel like as a parent, and I don't know where Rittenhouse's father is, if he has a father in his life, and if he doesn't, maybe that's another problem here. But his mom should have protected him and taken him out of that situation, or not allowed him to be in the situation. Apparently, Rittenhouse has two sisters, and look, as a parent, it's hard to control your kids. I get it, and when you're a 17-year-old boy, is very hard to control. I get that too, but I do feel like I think everybody wishes for everybody's sake that this kid was not there in the first place. I don't agree with the Ricky Schroders of the world that are trying to make this guy some type of hero. If anything, Rittenhouse is a victim too, because even if he gets off scot-free, meaning he doesn't, do jail time, even if he gets this bruh trying to be a celebrity, or bro trying to get famous, even if he achieves that, which he achieved it in some way already, he did achieve it, but I wouldn't want to be in his shoes trying to live this down for the rest of your life. This is a life-defining situation. So any potential this kid had in his life is now wrapped up into this. And of course, as usual, we're spending more time I am here on Rittenhouse, not the victims, or whatever you want to call it. I guess, the word victim was not allowed in the courtroom, but the people that got killed, what were they trying to do with their lives? Well, that Rosenbaum guy, obviously flawed, had a lot of problems. I saw the interview with his girlfriend, and I wonder, why does this guy have a girlfriend? You know what I mean? Ben Boy, I'm not at the courtroom, buddy. I'm just here in my car, to be honest with you. I'm just watching on television. I'm not anywhere near Wisconsin, Ben. I'm just a person making an opinion video. You're welcome to join in with your opinions. And thanks, Ben, for joining in. You might know that I do a lot of pro wrestling rants. I do a lot of Mike's Instant Movie Reviews. I'm here in Florida. I go to Disney sometimes. Well, you'd think he's guilty. And please, if you want to write a longer comment explaining why, I think it's interesting that, it's like he's guilty, but is he guilty of the first person that got killed? The second? Both? How far does self-defense go? I think that's what the prosecuting lawyer, who people are saying he really did not do a good job, or the two of them, I guess, did not do a good job. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do have a career in pro wrestling. I did wrestle several matches. I do have the 80s wrestler hair going. You're welcome to watch, Ben. I would advocate for all to watch that like wrestling. Chris and the Coffee Girl, the Philadelphia Experiment, featuring myself and Raven. It's a 4-part web series here on my channel, and part 1 is out, so it's good. But Ben, I'm just telling you, buddy, in this Rittenhouse case, you say that you reckon he's guilty. I was leaning with you when this case began. The more I watched about the case, I'll be honest, I'm not saying Rittenhouse won me over. I think his little breakdown on the stand seemed very fabricated. It seemed very pre-planned. I could be just cynical, but I'm an acting coach as well. So when I saw Rittenhouse, it seemed like acting to me. Like I could do a pretty good Rittenhouse on the stand. And then I took my gun and it just seemed very premeditated, like an acting routine to me, and to garner sympathy. But I'm going to give Rittenhouse credit. To take the stand in defense case like this it takes some fucking balls, because most people don't have it. Well, hey, Ben, I'm not arguing with you, buddy. He killed people, and he's not even in handcuffs. Well, I would totally watch. And it's interesting that after he had his hands up and he's approaching these tanks at the scene of the Kanashu. I can't have a hard time saying that fucking city's name, but he's leaving and he's trying to turn himself into the police, and the police are driving right by him. He's smiling all the time. Man, it does, to be honest, the conspiracy theorists are going to go nuts, Ben, because I don't know if you, like myself, I watched a lot of these YouTube Paul is dead conspiracy videos talking about the Beatles, Paul McCartney. I watched a lot of these celebrity, is Katy Perry, Joan Renee Ramsey. I watch a lot of these crazy videos on YouTube. And to be honest, man, who knows? Because it seems like, was this prosecuting team taking a dive on purpose? I'd be a wreck if I ended two people's lives. Well, good point. I guess I would just counter with this, Ben, and I'm totally not arguing with you, man. I would be too. But I believe it's age 23 that the male mind supposedly is not fully developed until age 23. I think the female mind is like 21. Now the kid's 17. So when we say kid, sure, he gets the benefit of being a kid, but he's got a gun like an adult. So I believe he's being tried as an adult, right? I mean, he's not going to reform school for the rest of his life or for 10 years or 2 or 3 years. So it's a real deal situation. I'd be a wreck too, but at the same time, that was last August, and he's got to present himself in the courtroom. It'd be interesting if Rittenhouse gets away. See, it's interesting because even I fall into that thing of calling him a kid, which gives him some sympathy. Let me go back to the judge thing for a minute, Ben. A lot of people have been very critical of this judge. He's almost taking like a grandfatherly type role to Rittenhouse. Mark's checking in. Mark, happy birthday, Mark. I saw your birthday is recently, Mark. Good wrestling fan here. He killed people in self-defense. He tried to retreat, and they chased him. If they would have left him alone, they wouldn't have got shot. Is he supposed to just let them beat him to death? And that is a great point for the self-defense, Mark. You articulated it quite well. What are your plans for the weekend, dude? Well, I'm going back home to Jacksonville. I was in Orlando for the week. I kind of had my weekend in the middle of the week. So sometimes I like to counter program. Like I'm writing a book, Ben, Fight or Play Basketball. It's on Amazon Kindle Vella. It's a young adult book, coming of age story. So I'm going to work on that script. Well, I've been going to Disney this week. I've been doing some wonderful things. I've been going to the movies. I saw Dune last night. I'm scheduled to see the Ghostbusters Afterlife tonight. Happy birthday, Mark. Congratulations, man. Happy birthday, buddy. So I'm going to see Ghostbusters tonight. I saw Dune last night. Pretty fucking great visual movie. The story I was a little lost on, and it's obviously part one of a series. It's another one of those things where you have to sign up. Visually, a fucking masterpiece. I was a little lost on the story of Dune. Before that, I saw the Addams Family 2 animation movie. I actually liked that, to be honest with you. And I'm not sure if there was a first one that was an animation, but the Addams Family movie was good. I saw another movie this week, too. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I just saw like a movie a day for the whole week. Let me go back to Mark's statement. See, this is why this case, I used to avoid cases like this, guys, like the OJ case or other hot topic cases, because they would just scare me and frustrate me. But I'm kind of getting into these things, like the Gabby fucking whatever the fuck case. Gabby Petito, rest in peace, and the shitbag Brian Laundrie. People are still wondering where's that autopsy. I got into that. I got hooked into that. I got some more comments. I do like living in the USA, Ben, but I really have nothing to compare it to. I'm French by ancestry, Mike Messier, so I've always thought about moving to Paris, France. But I have seen recently that, am I wrong? But was there like, did the French people or the government let in a bunch of people that kind of took over the country? Yeah, the Brian Laundrie thing strikes close to home, because that's right where I am in Florida. I mean, I could have driven to Northport and to the homes of the families, but I didn't, out of respect. I didn't want to be another person, just bothering people when they're trying to figure that case out. The Brian Laundrie thing, I'll just say this once again: conspiracy theorists will go wild, because if you see Gabby's last photos alive, she's in front of a monarch butterfly image, and she's got the post about Happy Halloween, the hashtag Happy Halloween. If you look into MK Ultra and the fucking monarch butterfly symbolism, you'll see a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, even a wonderful book like my own book, A Distance from Avalon, has the artist, my buddy Nazar, did the monarch butterfly imagery. I'm not sure if he did that on purpose. That's my book, available. Chungus, my good buddy, is kicking in. He was smacked with a skateboard. The other dude had a handgun. I just don't think Kyle should have been anywhere near Kenosha. Thanks for spelling it out for me. I have a hard time with that city. He lived out of state. Good point. And that's what I'm going back to, Chungus. If you go back to the video, I was kind of not trying to blame the mom, but in a sense, yeah, because you got a 17-year-old son. I know 17-year-old boys are hard to control, based on being one myself. And at one point in my life, 10 years ago. And when you're a 17-year-old guy, it's hard for a mom to control you. But at some point, Did Kyle have a father figure? Did he have a father, a stepfather? I know he has 2 sisters, but why is Kyle just allowed to roam about like this? I don't get it. Ben's checking in with the crazy cases. Ben, where are you from, buddy? What country are you in? What's cool about this worldwide stuff, man? I'm telling you, I grew up in an era without YouTube, without a lot of stuff. Now that we can communicate with each other from other countries in live times, it's very exciting because now we can get to know the real people in other parts of the world. So, Ben, if you want to chime in with what country or city you're in, please do. Yeah, man, the monarch butterfly, like I said, if you look, I believe Britney Spears albums, Beyonce, a lot of imagery, and my own book has that imagery of the monarch butterfly and the hand over the eye. And my own book has that. So there you go. The Amanda Knox is guilty, definitely. I'm trying to remember which case that is. Liverpool, very good. Yeah, man. Well, funny that you mentioned the Beatles, buddy, because I'm trying to show you a little prop here, Ben. Check this out, buddy. Look at that. It's a nice, wonderful box set. For those of you that don't have this, this is probably the best way to listen to the Beatles. You get all the discs on each CD. And you know what? I grew up kind of contrarian. My older sister is a big Beatles fan. So I kind of went the other way. Like, I just didn't like the Beatles. I liked AC/DC. I liked the Doors a lot, Bob Dylan. But, well, man, I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'm just old school, buddy. I mean, at some point, CDs weren't old school. Like, that's new school. But I like having the cover art. I like having the boxes. You know what I mean? I like having a physical thing that I can touch, buddy. So, yeah, man. And I'm telling you, Ben, if you look into it, on the Wrestling with the Future podcast, I did a interview with Mike Williams of the Sage of Kauai YouTube channel talking about the Paul is dead conspiracy. I'm telling you, there's a lot to it. I've listened to the book on tape twice. The Billy Shears, Memoirs of Billy Shears. If you're into conspiracy theory stuff, the Paul is dead stuff, look into it, brother. Just the other month, end of the summer, I laid down in Strawberry Fields, Beatles on. It's pretty cool, man. I dig it. I like it, Ben. And it sounds like it's a cool place. Penny Lane, from what I understand. You know, man, I don't know, buddy. I find the whole conspiracy of Paul is dead. I got to do another video with Mike Williams, Sage Kauai. The conspiracy theory is that the original Paul McCartney, who had earlobes close to his head and was shorter than the Paul McCartney now, was killed in a car accident, I believe, in 1964. And replaced by the Billy Shears, William Campbell guy that we have now, and we've had for like 60 years, so, or 50 years at least. So you look into it, man. It would be a whole other video, but I think it's fascinating. I don't know if you guys can hear these fucking birds out here, but they're driving me nuts. So anyway, guys, going back to this Rittenhouse case, let's talk. Oh, Viva la France, Gaulle Celts, by the way, Chungus, very cool, man. I didn't know if you were in France, buddy. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm talking about this whole Paul McCartney, Paul is dead thing. This Kyle Rittenhouse thing, I'm fascinated by it. I don't know what to say. I mean, I think this is a good question. Real good question. Just to finish up on this Rittenhouse, I'm more intrigued where this is going than opinionated. Like, if he goes free, if he goes to jail, it's not going to affect my life one way or the other. But I'm just fascinated by it, and that's why I'm doing the video, because I have been watching a lot of stuff, and I'm kind of more interested in other people's opinions than just spouting my own, because if I was on the jury, I'd be very confused. The judge allowing Rittenhouse to pick his own jury things, I think that's kind of cool, to be honest with you. It makes sense. That way you can never say that, you know, that the court clerk or whatever screwed up and picked you bad people, because you picked them yourself randomly. Opinions on Howard Stern. Used to be a big hero of mine. And here's the changing point, Ben. You know what happened? His movie, Private Parts, when I first saw that movie, I knew in my heart that this was an apology, a long-form apology to his wife, because he had cheated on her. And in years to come, we all discovered that that was true. And he kind of did. Stern used to accuse all these celebrity guys of upgrading their wives once they got famous. Like they would have their wife that they had on the way up, and then as soon as they got rich and famous, they ditch her and get a younger, prettier model of wife. Stern did the exact same thing. And also, I just feel like if you look at some of the Stern stuff, uh, you know, he was doing blackface on his old TV show down in New York, and he's so politically correct now, and he tries to be such a moral indicter of other people now. But if you look at the history of Stern stuff, that's not how he got on the fucking map. And Stern likes to say he went to therapy and did all this shit. I guess he just went against his own. I'm not saying Stern's a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. I like Stern, but I just feel like he's kind of played both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? He doesn't leave his house now. I want to, you know, I think Stern and Howie Mandel, another Howie Mandel, they both have issues with germism, which I can appreciate, to be honest with you. Look, I've been vaccinated for this goddamn virus, and I still get a little touchy-feely. You know, people tell me they have the COVID, and I don't want to talk to them. You know what I mean? I get nervous. A friend of mine was thinking he might have had COVID recently, and I have to avoid him physically, you know, until he gets better. Howard Stern hated podcasts on now. He's created one. He's all video from home podcasting. That's the thing, man. You hate something until you figure out how to make money from it. You know what I mean? I have a video on here, Convenient Morality. I have about 1,500 videos, Ben. You can find many topics. I encourage you and Chungus and everyone to explore the playlist. If you like Life's Rants, if you like Mike Goes Political, the Life Rants and the Word I Hate is a really good, another word I hate. I got to get this videos back, start doing more. Is moment. Like the word moment has been misused. I did a Word I Hate video on the word story. No, I mean, he works from home, doesn't his house in Florida. Stern, I don't know. I thought he was in New York. Well, maybe I'll have to go visit him. I mean, I'm not opposed to Howard Stern. I just telling you, you know, he's kind of changed his whole ways, man. Yeah, I live in Atlantic Beach. I live in a beach area called Atlantic Beach, Florida. It's part of Jacksonville. I really enjoy it. I've been there for 2 years. I lived in Rhode Island before that. Wouldn't you just chill and walk the beaches all day? You know, here's the thing, man. I don't necessarily like to relax, Ben. I mean, if you go to Disregard the Vampire Mike Messier documentary, I'd recommend that for more what I'm all about. I'm all about creativity. I'm all about screenwriting. I'm all about, you know, writing my book and working on sequels. I like going to the beach occasionally to clear my mind. But I have other things I have to do, man. I got to write my books. I got to make my videos for you guys. Mike's Meals is great. I don't know if you rate my takeaway, but I dig the food reviews. Appreciate it, Chungus. Appreciate it, buddy. Where is the best, Chungus, interesting question here from Ben. Where is the best places to live in USA, you think? In modern times, because of this worldwide situation, I think Florida's pretty good. That's where I'm at, because you can actually do stuff. But I don't know what things are going to be like after that. After, you know, what else? Maine, if you like New England, Maine outside of the winter is pretty good. If you don't like a lot of people, here's my issue, Ben. I'm not I like people, but from a distance. Like I can't handle, for instance, I'm going to Disney World this week. To me, when I walk in and there's always people around me, I get very uptight, bro. I get very like when I'm driving and there's a car behind me, I get very edgy. Like it's just too close to me. When I go to a movie theater, I can't sit next to anybody unless I'm with that person, but I need to have like a couple of empty seats at least. So I have like space issues when it comes to human beings, to be honest with you. So a lot of people would say, oh, New York City. I hate fucking New York City. It's too many people. It smells like dead rats. You know what I mean? No offense to the people or the dead rats, but I just can't stand to be there. No offense. But people say, oh, if you're in the entertainment business, you need to be in New York. Sorry, I'll pass. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is anxiety, bro. But it's at some point, I give myself a break because why would you want to be around all these fucking people? Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. The phone is dying. I'm doing this remotely. Here's a USA trademark. The Walmart parking lot. I already did eat my meal today, Chungus. So this is kind of the epitaph of the Mike's Meals. I had the chicken. It's all gone now, buddy. This is thanks, Ben. It's good talking to you, man. So subscribe to Mike Messier YouTube channel. Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Chungus. Feel free to share the videos. See you guys. Have a nice day.